The number of murders in the U.S. committed with guns has decreased over the last decade. But the Centers for Disease Control cautions that gun violence still plagues our inner cities, and a troubling trend is emerging. It is the growing number of young men, mostly black and Latino, who escape death but face permanent disability from gunshot injuries. Some admit to being caught up in a culture where drugs and gang wars were a way of life. Others were innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire. Whatever the circumstances, they have one thing in common. They are now veterans of violence.
Crack, dope, whatever. Whatever made money, I did it. I sell it. I sold it. I get somebody to sell it. Whatever it took to get over. I just liked the nice things, wanted those nice things, and part of getting those nice things was the resort to the street.
And it was on those streets, 6 years ago, that Victor Watson's life changed forever.
I got shot in a neighborhood drive-by in Brooklyn, in Bushwick section. I was shot in my neck, and a lot of the limbs was affected.
Victor was 29 years old when a bullet ripped through his neck and left him confined to a wheelchair with limited use of his upper body.
Well, I can't walk, which is one of the major issues. I can't walk. I'm not allowed to do quite a few things. Like sometimes I can't open the door. Sometimes I can't turn the car on. Sometimes I can't lift heavy things. I definitely can't run and swim, some of the things I would love to do.
Juan Jimenez also spent his days on the streets of New York, driving a taxi and trying to make ends meet, although they never did. So the Manhattan native went to Massachusetts to look for a better job. There, while in a bar one night playing pool, two teenagers walked in and opened fire.
And it was two guys started fighting each other, and it was just playing pool, and then the two guys started shooting each other. It was kind of in the middle of shooting, and I was getting shot twice, one in the spinal cord right here, and one in the chest.
Victor and Juan are a part of a startling statistic: the increasing number of young men from inner-city neighborhoods disabled by gunshot injuries. They live with physical and emotional wounds, confined to a wheelchair or worse. According to the Spinal Cord Injury Association, gun violence is now the second most common cause of spinal cord injuries. 70% of the victims are black and Latino. Dr. Kathleen Klink is the director of family medicine at New York Presbyterian Hospital in Washington Heights. She has seen the debilitating effects of gun violence.
Well, we see, in the clinic, we see the patients the people who have sustained long-term injuries. We've had quite a few young men, it's usually men, who've had very, very terrible injuries. And I've cared for one young man who is a quadriplegic, which is a disability which affects quad, meaning all four of his limbs.
And the psychological impact can be just as devastating as the physical. After learning about the limitation he'd have to live with, Juan attempted suicide 3 times.
I was cut 3 times in the hospital. I was trying to hang myself. And they got me psychiatric things, and they sent me for the clinic for the crazy people in Massachusetts, because I was trying to kill myself after I see that I was doing all my things in bed.
And my wife, it really bothers her a lot, because, I mean, I can't take her dancing. I mean, I can't go swimming and do a lot of stuff that she probably would like getting done. It bothers me. I can't shoot hoops with my son. It's a situation where, like, my daughter, she's 11, she does a lot of stuff that being 11-year-old you might not have to do because her dad's in a wheelchair.
These veterans of violence have become a familiar sight in communities such as Harlem and Washington Heights. Disabled men have become so common in these communities that the brother in the wheelchair has won his place in popular culture. A character featured in films such as Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood, and Training Day, all set in communities of color.
The people we see here in Washington Heights are typically people of color, people of recent immigration status. Perhaps they're the first generation. They may not speak English as a first language, or their parents don't speak English as a first language. There aren't a lot of jobs. And there's a whole trade and industry around drugs. So they took the opportunity. They were hustling.
Take notice of me. Like, I kid around.
Or in Victor's case, doing the hustling. That's how he used to spend his time on the streets of Bedford-Stuyvesant, where he grew up.
My lifestyle prior to me getting shot was a street hustler. In the street, hustle, whatever it took to get $1. That's what I chose to do. The neighborhood was pretty rough, you know, coming up. And everybody scratched and forth everything they can get. And I was scratching and fighting the same.
And guns were easy to get.
Any given day, somebody would come by selling a gun or selling something, or know somebody selling a gun. And if you got the money, you got a gun. And that's a shame. But that's the lifestyle I came from.
It's a lifestyle similar to the one Skit is leading today. At 17, Skit is a member of the Bloods gang and does his hustling on the streets of Harlem.
It's a sort of different type of hustles, but the hustle I do is drugs, and I mean, I don't even know how to explain it, really.
What kind of drugs do you hustle?
Crack and coke. I get everything I want when I hustle. It's like I get all my clothes, my kicks, you know, then I just be the flyest kid on the block, you know, so that's why.
Skit is well aware of the consequences of violence. 2 of his friends were shot and killed. One shooting was gang-related, the other over money. Still, he sees gangs and guns as necessary survival tools.
Being in a gang, you get respect. Even if you wasn't in a gang, just me, I still get respect, you know what I'm saying? But you get more respect when you're in a gang.
Do you own a gun?
Yeah.
Why do you need a gun?
Protection. Protection.
From what?
People, basically. People that want to get at me, people that's jealous of me, people that envy me, everything.
Hate. You know what I'm saying? That's all person, a lot of people have in their heart. Hate. No type of love.
CW is 19 years old, and that's his explanation for the violence in the world he inhabits.
And that's what keeps it going. That's what keeps everybody moving. Hate. I don't like this person. I don't like this person. That's all it's going to be. That's why it's always violence.
How easy is it to get access to a gun?
Easy as going to the store, buying something.
And those guns often end up in the hands of kids even younger than Skit and CW.
Talking about that, it was the one that I got shot was 2 kids, 15 and 16 years ago. They were shooting each other. 2 little kids, minor. They're not even supposed to be in the bar that day.
Researchers who've studied violence in urban communities cite 4 main causes: the drug market, poverty, and a lack of employment and education opportunities.
Rapping is the only job mainly you could get with no education at all. You really don't need an education to rap.
I don't know what the talk is about, but when I got gun in hand, man, I will let it off in your mouth. And I will sick my dogs and your spouse. I'll come to your crib and rip the roof right off of your house.
Personally, that's the only job I really could get. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't need no education to rap.
I think we need to really step back and look at why is it that a young man is taking the choice of getting involved with dealing or running drugs. I think that these young people need other opportunities. But those interests need to be created and developed and nurtured.
And developing those interests could be in everyone's best interest. The costs associated with gun violence can be staggering. The average first-year cost for a paralyzed gunshot victim can be as high as $300,000. Lifetime costs can range from $700,000 to $2 million, and most of it comes out of federal and state funds.
So basically society pays for it. We pay for it. It comes out of the healthcare dollars that we spend in this country. It would be better for us in the long term, a better investment, rather than spending $700,000 to $2 million per incident, to put that kind of money into the community to bring programs that keep people out of these kinds of circumstances.
Good morning, ladies. Good morning, ladies, like always.
Victor is a mentor in a program at Mount Sinai Hospital that is attempting to do just that. Think First sends men like Victor into the community to teach young people about gun violence.
And the Think First program was I think, is a plus because the kids really listened, and I got a lot of good perception from the kids, and I'm giving back. You know, I try my best to help somebody because I believe if I could help 1, 2, or 3, I've done a lot.
We asked Skit how receptive he would be to Victor's message.
I don't think it changed me. It had me thinking like, wow. Not saying I don't want to be like that. I don't want to end up in a wheelchair, but most likely after you think about it like a day or two, you thinking about it, but then you just go back to the same thing. It just don't stay there. So I don't think, no one changed.
And what would Victor's response be to a young man with that attitude?
Man, you don't want to end up like me, man. You don't want to wake up and look like me and feel like me, because some days I don't even care if I get up or not. I know it's not nice to say, but a lot of mornings I get up and I'm not happy with me.